we have entered a cycle, I think, in 2020. We all know what happened there. And we are going to experience more of that, I believe, to make sure that we really learned our lesson and to make sure that many, many more open their eyes to, I don't want to say reality, because what is reality? I don't want to say truth, because what is truth? But open their eyes to the grander picture, to the greater happenings that are unfolding.
Myriam, thank you for joining me on an episode of the Initiatrix podcast. I'm so excited to welcome you here. So for anybody who doesn't know, Myriam Wiedemann is an incredibly globally renowned galactic astrologer. She works with galactic family constellations. She is just amazing at what she does, and our paths intertwined nearly just over a year ago, and my life has changed for the better since knowing you. I have to say, what it is that you bring to the world is this beautiful gift of being able to help starseeds on the planet unlock their gifts by finding out their starseed origin, and resolving that lifelong feeling of homesickness that I know that I can definitely relate to or have related to in the past. And I'd really love for you to just share a little bit more about all of these things, because it could be that some of the people at home listening don't necessarily understand what I'm saying. And I know that you can do what you do with far more justice than I can. So please, welcome.
Thank you, Sinead. I'm so happy to be here. So let's hold the intention that your podcast, The Initiatrix, will flourish and will become a galactic phenomenon, let's say.
Thank you.
Because the knowledge about our ancient soul history has to spread, and it is important that we remember where we come from, and that we are not, as I like to say, we are not human beings making a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings making a human experience. And if you integrate that, then your view automatically opens to the stars. And that's what we've been doing for many, many millions of years here on Earth. So where do we come from? How do we know? And this is something that I offer because I access your Akashic records, and I trace your soul history through from the beginning, when your soul decides to embark on this journey of awareness, and then how does the soul come to our universe, and finally to the Milky Way galaxy and down to Earth as a starseed, because someone who asks that question probably is a starseed.
Yes, I definitely would agree, even though this isn't my area of expertise. I know that for me, when I was first discovering and asking the questions, am I a starseed? If we tend to ask these kinds of questions, then the answer is usually yes, you are. And so it's just unearthing more information. And with that information and awareness, what can it do for somebody? Like, how can it help them I know that I already said, like, it's resolving some of those lifelong feelings of homesickness, and this is something that I experienced as a child, where I would long for home. I want to go home, and I have experienced it, like my own daughter as well. I've heard her say it as well, and it's just this, for me, how I experienced it in the body was, it did feel like homesickness, and it did feel like I didn't belong here, or there was a disconnect or a separation from where I truly was from. So I'm curious, how can it really help somebody? What happens when they have that awareness? What opens up for them?
I can only relate to many of my clients who had this feeling of homesickness and this galactic homesickness, and myself as well. I never felt quite right. I always felt a bit odd amongst all the humans around me, and I couldn't pinpoint it. I couldn't lay the finger on it and say, that's why. And the moment I understood that my soul has decided at some point to come to Earth, that I'm not an earthling per se, and I came here for a mission. I came here to do something. That at the same time opened my awareness to the vastness of my own soul, to the vastness of the universe. And at the same time, it grounded me because suddenly I understood I am here for a reason. I'm not just walking around with 8 billion people. I try to make my life, but I'm here for a purpose. And this grounds you so deeply because you reconnect with Earth and this beautiful planet called all of us here to help her ascend, to help usher in new Earth, as I used to say. And that's why we are all here.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I deeply resonate with everything that you've just shared. And something that I'd really love to learn with your experience of working with countless clients now from all over the world. Do you believe that everybody that is a starseed has a purpose? Do you believe that everybody has a purpose? Or is it only for those chosen and select few?
I believe everybody has a purpose because we are all on a soul journey. We all have our soul history, and we have incarnated so many times all over the place, not only on Earth, but on different star systems. And if you look at your galactic chart, you will find it probably most busy with a lot of fixed star constellations that you either have visited, have lived on for many, many incarnations. And there you learned, you evolved, your soul evolved, and you made experiences and you integrated them. And then you moved on. And at some point in some star system, you decided, okay, let's go to Earth, make this a 3D experience. And at the same time, and you can go there and just make this 3D experience. That's already something. And some come here and they say, okay, I'll fight for freedom. I'll help recover Earth from what she has suffered. I come to experience polarity. Also, I'm deeply rooted in unity consciousness, and so on and so on. There are so many possibilities how this can play out, and every starseed and every soul is different, of course. So we have experience that shape us, and with those experiences we come here, but we forget. We forget, and we have to remember and reconnect to this, to our soul in the first place, and then to the soul history we hold. And when we do that, our galactic gifts start to come in, to kick in, and this can happen quite ferociously and quite fast. But it can also develop slowly. And what we all have as humans is our intuition. And intuition is the basic ingredient for everything that comes in with the galactic gifts.
So give me an example for anyone who's listening at home and they're wondering, what is a galactic gift? How would you describe it or define it? How would you be able to identify it when they start to switch on?
Let's say you have lived many lives in the Lyran star system. And the Lyran star system is kind of the cradle of humanity, because the Lyran humanoids are our ancestors, our galactic ancestors. We share a lot of DNA from them and with them, and they visited Earth for many, many times. So the Lyrans were confronted with some dark entities. They were drawn to the light consciousness the Lyrans hold. And a terrible war started. And at some point, the Lyrans had to flee. They had to abandon their star system. And with beautiful space arcs, they went to find other places to live. So let's say you as a soul were part of this exile moment, and you held the codes of the ancestors of the ancient Lyrans, and you went on your journey, and you always had this feeling of being in flight or fight mode, and you came to Earth, and at some point, with the help of a galactic astrologer or an Akashic records reader, you remember. And then you are able to unlock those ancient memories that you hold as a Lyran elder, and you can bring in the knowledge, the galactic knowledge and the wisdom of our ancestors. Imagine that. It is a beautiful gift, and you can implement it in your own healing that you provide for others. But just by knowing and just by incorporating that, you emanate such an energy, such a radiance. It helps humanity in a great scale.
Is the way that you describe everything is just, it sounds so magical and so beautiful. And I know that I relate so deeply to everything that you speak into and share. And it's because, you and I have met, first of all. We're like sisters, Starseed sisters. So maybe you can share a little bit more about how we're connected. But also, before we kind of go into that, I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience and how things kind of switched on for me. And I'd love for you to share how things switched on for you. And it feels like a remembrance. I remember when I sat with you for the first time during the Galactic astrology reading for me, and I literally I started crying, because it does feel like a homecoming. It does feel like a remembrance. And more than anything, it made me feel like, oh, I'm not batshit crazy after all. This is actually real. And, this is all, I'm air quoting, normal. This is absolutely how I feel. And this longing, this sense for home, this longing for home is validated. And also, like, having that awareness. And I think that when you know something, you can't unknow something. And when you have awareness of where you've come from, you automatically are connected to the gifts and abilities that come with that tribe, that come with that system, that star system. But let's talk about how we're connected. Because I think
I love to talk about that.
Yeah.
We're both starseeds from Alpha Centauri in the Centaurus fixed star system. The Centaurus system is the nearest system to our solar system, to our sun. It's only 4 point something light years away from Earth. So it's nothing in a galactic scale. And for souls, it is for high dimensional souls, it's easier to incarnate into into the Centaurian star system, which because the frequency is quite similar to Earth, not so dense, but similar. And from there, we probably met there. We have to figure that out. And we decided to come to Earth and find us here. And this is such a beautiful validation for both of us, because we innately know we are related through the Alpha Centaurian star, through the star Alpha Centauri. And the Alpha Centaurians, they are wisdom seekers. We share that. They are very telepathic. I work on it. And they are simple and honest, harmonious, moralistic also. I can relate to that sometimes. But the Alpha Centaurians are on a strict path of ascension, and they aim to help others follow the same path into this greater consciousness of Source. And that is both our mission, I believe. Do you agree?
I do agree. And I think that we met at exactly when we were supposed to meet, in the way that we met as well. And I feel that we have a very strong connection and a very strong friendship. And yes, it's human, but it's also so much more than that. And that's what's so beautiful. And we are very similar in many ways. And we've spent many lifetimes together, and we're going to continue to do that, I should imagine, as well. Like, this is just the beginning.
Yes, it's the beginning of remembrance. And from that, we go on. I'm quite convinced of that as well. I look forward to many adventures with you, Sinead.
I know. I can see us going all over the place. I can, like, literally, I'm seeing Egypt, and I'm seeing here, there, and everywhere. Like, all of the things are coming into my awareness. But there's one question I have been dying to ask you, and I haven't once asked you in this entire time that we've known each other. And that is, what drew you to galactic astrology? I mean, it's not one of these things that go, oh, I'm just going to decide to look at the stars and study the stars and research all about star seeds and star systems and everything else. So how did you get here? What's the journey?
Yeah, it's quite a journey because I am intuitive, and I've been my whole life, and I saw things, I sensed things that I couldn't quite understand, and there was no support from my family. On the contrary, in my family runs history of mental illness, and I didn't want to basically become mad. So I shut down those senses, especially in puberty. You want to do other things. And I ended up with a severe depression in my mid-20s. And from there, the journey started. I had to open up at some point, and there were always those earth angels around that helped me to uncover the more and more of my true self, let's say. And on my path of the inner journey, I suddenly realized that there is a connection between two of my favorite topics, ETs and UFOs on the one hand, and spirituality on the other hand. And that opened up. That was, I think, my awakening. And there was a great trailblazer that helped me do that. It was Alex Collier, who is a contactee for the Andromedans. And if you haven't heard of him, look him up. There are so many videos on YouTube. He is amazing, and he helped me by watching his videos. I reconnected. And through some shamanic travels I realized I am connected to inner earth. And at some point, I watched a video of my teacher, Galactic Astrology teacher, Julia Ballas, and I knew I had to do a session with her. And the session with her, I had the same experience as you had. I cured my homesickness. I connected to my galactic soul history. And I found so much validation in what she told me. and I knew I had to do it. So that is my journey.
You mentioned shamanic and that kind of influence. How did that play a part in your journey? And how does that kind of weave into what it is that you do now? Because I know that there's a very strong shamanic connection, past life and all of the rest of it, but also with everything that you do now as well.
The shamanic experience, for me, I lived in Berlin, and I wanted to reconnect with Earth. I wanted to reconnect with my roots. And through many shamanic experiences and an education I received, and I would not call myself a shaman, but I am deeply rooted in this tradition. Also through my family, I made the experience that we can travel astrally. You can travel with your mind to wherever you please. You can travel in space and you can travel in time, back and forward. And this is something that is very much in alignment with galactic astrology, because what do we know, really? We channel the information. We have astronomical knowledge. We have astrological knowledge through our ancestors over many millions, many thousands of years. And we have shamanic traditions. And if you weave that together, you arrive at one point. It is the same source. And that is what makes it so easy for me to access, I believe.
I love that. And I think that it's so important as well, because I know of so many people where they kind of go one way or the other. They go up and they stay up, or they go down and they stay down. And there's no connect, there's a disconnect. And that's the whole point of being human, right? It's like we are the conduit, we are the bridge between heaven and earth, the stars and the earth. So yeah, that's so beautiful. So I want to dive into and move on slightly into what's happening in the world right now. Like, what's coming? Why is 2024 so important? All of the questions I'm going to start throwing at you. And while you're listening to this amazing interview, I want you to stay tuned, because we're going to dive into business and galactic astrology as well. So make sure you stay tuned to this interview. So what's coming for 2024?
Well, where should I start? I think I'll start with Pluto. Pluto is on its way into the zodiac sign of Aquarius. So Pluto is the most outward planet in our solar system, at least in astrology. It was degraded a couple of years ago. It's not a planet anymore in the science department, but in the astrology department, it still is, and it is very influential. It is the smallest planet, and it has the longest angle to Earth, and therefore it holds a lot of power and a lot of influence. It is the planet of transformation. It is the planet of death and rebirth. It is the planet of the unknown, the planet of the subconscious and the conscious. It is very much about the polarity of our archetypical being. Pluto, as it is the most outward planet, needs 248 years to do one circle around the sun. And after 15 years, I believe, in Capricorn, in the zodiac sign of Capricorn, it entered into the zodiac sign of Aquarius. Capricorn represents structure, stability, materialism, everything you want, from economy, money, politics. The archetypical patriarchal energies are connected to Capricorn. And this is ending this year when Pluto enters into Aquarius in November. It is already there, and it goes back in September until November. So we have half a year where we have had a glimpse of that last spring. Then Pluto went into Aquarius for the first time. Now it's there in the second time. And Aquarius is about revolution. It is about our society that needs to change. And it is about aliens as well, I would like to mention. So Pluto in Aquarius has quite a revolutionary energy. And the last time Pluto went into Aquarius, we had the French Revolution, we had the American Independence War. We also had a lot of astronomical and astrological discoveries. So our view goes outwards as well. We had a lot of philosophers who opened up many, many fundamental questions about our humanity. And now we are asked to revisit this energy. So how do we want to proceed as humanity? How do we want to proceed as a society? Do we really want to stay in the paradigm of war and conflict? Or do we want to get our grip together and grow up and get out of the sandbox and really start becoming a human, heart-centered, loving, peaceful civilization? Because then we are able to reconnect with our galactic families, and they wait for us. They want us to become a galactic civilization. They want us back in their huge family of star beings. And that's why 2024 is so important for us, because now we are able to ask the hard questions, to ask ourselves, do we want to take our power back and decide for ourselves how we want to proceed? And we will experience a bit of upheaval, I believe, in September until November, when Pluto goes back into Sagittarius for a last time, and this will be very turbulent.
And I think that might be when the US election is as well, around that time, I believe.
Yes, it's going to be really, really interesting.
And we were really designed to be heart-centered beings, and everything else outside of that, the fear-based it's programming, it's illusions and it's distortions. And we live in, I believe, like an inverted world. And what I feel Pluto brings, obviously I'm not an astrologer, never claimed to be, but what I feel and sense that Pluto brings is this opportunity to release everything that is anything other than pure love and harmony and peace and truth. And the frequency of truth is love, and just restoring us back to our natural state of being. And to be able to do that, we do need Pluto. Like, all of this, I believe, has probably been very divinely orchestrated at this very time. And I guess we could say the future is unknown, but I feel that it's not. It's already done in some sense. And it's almost like what I'm sensing as we're sat here is that we're actually just going through the motions, but the motions feel quite turbulent. And there's a lot of that seismic shift that needs to happen. Almost like the house of cards needs to fall, the tower needs to crumble to the ground in order for everything to be restored to our natural state, and the planet, obviously, because that's really what it's about.
I love that, the natural state that we have to come back to and to incorporate, because our natural state is not this body, it's not our human experience, it's much more, as I said. So the energies that come in, and I could go on and on, because we have some astronomical alignments as well. We are in a very powerful solar circle at the moment. Solar cycle, sorry, with a lot of solar influx on the Earth. We are going to see much more of those polar lights, and we have talked about it. Are they real? Are they distorted? We can go there. We will definitely have a lot of spiritual acceleration and intense change. And we feel it. We say time has changed. Time flows faster. And I believe it's not so much time, it's spiritual acceleration that is happening here.
I agree with you completely. And it's so interesting because this morning I was feeling torn between everything not moving quick enough and everything moving, whatever it is I was feeling. My words are not coming out, but I was just feeling like I wasn't doing enough. Everything's not moving quick enough. I need to be doing things quickly. Like everything's moving too slowly. And actually, and that my body was slowing me down. But it's not my body. It's almost like the planet or the collective or the energies that I were feeling was slowing me down. There was this dissonance and frustration around it all. And it feels like, I know that time doesn't exist anyway. It's a man-made concept, but it's almost like my relationship with time has completely changed within probably the last 24, 48 hours, like since we've gone into the equinox. Like my relationship, I'm talking about myself. I don't know if you've experienced something similar, or if that is like a collective experience, and that's what other people could be experiencing as well.
I have experienced this shift of awareness of time for quite some time, and especially since winter solstice, there was I can't describe it. It is just like you said, my connection and my relationship to time has completely changed. Where are those 3 last months? Where are they?
I know, and that's exactly it. And I was we were very closely connected during winter solstice, and around that time we were going through your 12 nights of magic and wonder, which, by the way, we're going to talk about later. But just the whole relationship with time has completely shifted. And I think I only really noticed it as we've gone into a new season, a new cycle. There's almost like part of me is in a different timeline, on a different timeline, and what another part of me is firmly rooted in the present. And it feels like the body is kind of feeling the push and pull, the tugging. Yes. And that's what's happening in my body right now as I'm sitting here. And I know that you feel the same. Like when we go through ascension symptoms, when we experience this accelerated spirituality, we do feel it in the body. Like you were saying earlier, we're not just a physical person having a spiritual experience. We're a spiritual being having a physical experience. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, and we are trying to juggle both worlds right now. We are rooted in one, or on one timeline, let's say, or in one reality, and we move into another. And this is exactly what I think many described as moving from 3D to 4D. So if we want to use those terms, we are definitely moving into a completely different time-space continuum, flux, however you want to call it. We have to find words for that, because this hasn't existed here for a long time. I believe since Atlantis, for sure.
Yes.
And now the Atlantean codes come up again with this energy, and we have to recalibrate to them. And our sun is helping with his or her energy, as you want to call it. And we feel it in our bodies. Our DNA is upgrading or changing, however you want to call it. We need to find a different approach towards our bodies. What do they need? Do they need more sleep? Do they need less sleep? And we have to intuitively reconnect with our bodies, because I think this is also something that we have neglected for a very long time.
Yes. On a personal and a collective level, for sure.
Yeah.
And also, it's really a reflection of how much we've neglected our home, our planet, because we are of the same substance, the same as we are of the same substance as the stars, you know. And it's so interesting, as you were speaking, I just got this glimpse of snowflakes, and it's almost like we're using the sun and the sun codes and the light codes to thaw out all the dissonant frequencies in our human form. And so the body is feeling it. And I think that many of us have probably, our natural state, quote unquote, has been to, like, we've been in contraction, in freeze, in not feeling comfortable being here. So there's so much. And I know that, you know, this is very much related to my personal experience. And I know that what I'm picking up is probably going to relate to people that are listening, and perhaps with you as well, Myriam.
Yeah, we have been in response mode for a long time, or too long. And especially if we are connected to the female archetype, as we both are, we are incarnated as women. We hold the code, we hold the memory of the physical fragility of the female archetype. And we have to reconnect to our true power. And this is rooted so much in our galaxy, because our galaxy is about the ambivalence. It is about the opposites of male and female energies. And we have to reconnect not only to our female archetypes, but to the male as well, the healing aspects of it all.
And for some, sorry, I was just going to say, and for some reason, what's coming through is that that's actually very much related to Atlantis as well.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, they embodied this unity consciousness probably on a very high level, until they started meddling with DNA and whatever energies to usher in the fall of Atlantis. So we are at the same precipice in a sense, right? And we have to decide where we want to go from here on. We can go through the cycle of destruction again. We can. And then there is another try. Or we can use this time now and buckle up and make the epic jump.
I know which side of the fence I'm on. 100%. So what do you feel is, I know that there's so many things that people need to know to prepare them for the next few years, and especially this year, but what would you say is the one thing, if you could put it into one thing, that people need to know to prepare them for the next few years? And we're specifically talking like leading them into, is it 2027?
Yes. I think 2027, well, a lot of channels talk about it. It is a kind of a pivotal year. We have to figure out why that is, but a lot of channels talk about it. We have entered a cycle, I think, in 2020. We all know what happened there. And we are going to experience more of that, I believe, to make sure that we really learned our lesson, and to make sure that many, many more open their eyes to, I don't want to say reality, because what is reality? I don't want to say truth, because what is truth? But open their eyes to the grander picture, to the greater happenings that are unfolding. And so for us, it is important to really make our bodies ready, to prepare them for more light codes coming in. And I think we are going from carbon-based body structure to crystalline body structure. Yeah. And that is something we have to really take care of. And the other thing that we have to take care of is our consciousness. We really, really have to raise our consciousness. That is the most important thing we have to do. What do you think, Sinead?
I agree, because I agree with everything that you shared. And yes, to the crystalline light body, and also the reclamation of consciousness, because our consciousness is constantly being hijacked, constantly, like every which way. And even when we don't even realize it's happening, it's happening. And that's one of our most potent possessions, assets, should I say, that we
Exactly.
have, which is why it needs to be crystal clear at all times. So we can discern what's truth and what's not truth, and what we want to believe and what we don't want to believe, and the decisions that we get to make for ourselves, because we are powerful beings, and because we came here to be exactly that, returning to that natural state of our power and our sovereignty more than anything.
Yes. I would like to expand on the Aquarian energies here, because it's not only a beautiful thing that we are going to have this beautiful end of the story at some point. I believe that very strongly, but the path we take on can be very interesting, because Aquarius is also the sign for artificial intelligence, and we have experienced that, especially I think in the last year or two, and it is becoming more and more immersed in our lives. So what is real? What is artificial? And this is something we have to be super aware of. So raising our consciousness is one thing, and harnessing our intuition is the other thing, because we will not be able to distinguish between artificial intelligence and natural intelligence, if you want to call it human intelligence.
Well,
If that even
emotional
exists.
intelligence as
Emotion.
well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. And this is something we have to figure out on our own, because nobody will help us here.
And as much as AI is becoming more and more, on brand, popular, and all of the things, it's actually been around for a very, very long time. And we have been, I'm going to get all, I'm not even going to say what the words I was going to say, but we have been primed to accept it as a natural state, and a natural, going back to that term again, natural state, natural way of being, is just to invite this technology into our reality. I also feel that, and this comes back to that reclamation of consciousness, so we're just accepting it as normal. And the more that we accept it as normal, the more we lack awareness, sense of agency, sovereignty, discernment around what's in our reality, what's real and what's not.
Yes, and that's why it is so super important to be aware where our focus goes, where our attention goes. And we have to constantly train that awareness now, because otherwise we will lose track and we will lose ourselves in that. And that is something that the dark side really wants.
Yes.
And I do not accept that at all.
No, and I don't accept it either. I do not accept that whatsoever. But it's so easy. Like, our attention, we can lose hours scrolling, doing all of the things, and that's it. Done. We're literally being distracted from our purpose, distracted from our own emotions, distracted from being in our bodies, and all of the other ways that it can show up. So I completely agree with everything that you're saying. And I feel like I want to get out my big staff and start stomping on the ground and saying, I am not, like, this is not happening on my watch. I am not available for this. And so we have to consciously, like, literally, because it can happen at any moment and you don't even realize, you get just swept up in it all of a sudden. And then you're like, oh my God, it's like 4:30, and a minute ago it was like 2:00. And so I'm speaking from experience. I found myself doing it. I know from experience living with a 12-year-old child as well, how, I mean, that's really the aim of the game is the children more than anything. And so, yeah, I'm getting emotional.
Yes, and that is why we, as the generation that raises those beautiful children that have come in to build New Earth, we have to really make sure that they find the ground that we prepare, and the ground has to be. We have to decide how we want to nourish that ground. We can feed the artificial intelligence with energy, with thoughts, with deliberate ideas we have, and that is so important, because then artificial intelligence doesn't necessarily swallow us all. We have to live with it probably for a long time, and it is our decision how we want to live with it. The other thing that is really interesting, and that here I come back to this strange phenomenon of time now. We can scroll for hours and not realize it, but we can also be in a state of flow and create and co-create. And then also time flees, right? You can be immersed in something that your heart wants you to do, that your soul wants you to do. And this is a very different way of passing time. So what do you choose? And where do you want to aim your awareness again? It is a choice we have to make now.
That's literally what I was thinking, is that we do get a choice, and that's it. Like, do we want to co-create with something that is artificial, or do we want to co-create with our own intelligent life force and emotions and have that fulfill us? Because that's really what we came here to do, right? That's our purpose beyond anything else, is to allow that life force to flow through us and to create and live and connect and build communities and live, love, laugh. Like it's getting all kind of hippified now, but that's literally what we're here for. Like none of this is why we're here. I mean, I know that it all serves a purpose, and to say that it doesn't would be, I don't think it's, yeah, I think that everything serves a purpose. It always does. And perhaps the purpose of all of this that's happening now is to return us to that truth of who we are, to that, that creative, the creation that we have within us, which is born from the heart, it's born from the womb space, it's born from the soul, It's
basically going back to creator, right?
Yeah.
And we are creators. And it is not something for the faint of heart to be here on earth at that moment. So we are all very, very powerful beings. And this is also something that galactic families love about us. We are so powerful in creating things from matter. They don't quite understand how we do it. We create music and they are in awe. We create art, and that is all given to us from Earth, and that is given to us through our bodies. And why not use that? Why not play with that? And why not love this experience? So
I love everything that you've just shared, and it just makes me want to roll around naked in a load of paint and just express myself on a big canvas.
yeah, Fluxus is nothing
Why
about.
the fuck not? Honestly.
Yeah, let's get into flow. Yes.
So talking of flow and talking of creation, And talking of, you know, our galactic roots and everything like that, let's talk about business and soul-led businesses, because that's all about creation. It's co-creation with the universe. It's co-creating with the business that's born from source, probably from the stars as well. It's an energy and a consciousness in its own right. And so if we look to business, why do you think it's important? And maybe you don't think it's important. I think that you probably do. Why it's important for business owners to know their galactic roots?
I think it's twofold. One, we discussed earlier. It is important, especially for light bearers, light leaders, whoever, however you want to call them, with their conscious business, to be aware of their soul history, soul journey, and their soul gifts they bring to earth, because that's why they probably have a business, to spread their gifts, to make them available for everybody. I think the paradigm of money and wealth is going to change drastically in the coming years as well. And it is more about a community thinking, how we give rather than make money. It is more an energy that is exchanged. So conscious business owners should be really aware of, knowledgeable about their gifts they bring, so they can create here. And the other thing is that if they have a business with employees, it is important to know how they combine their teams and how they find the right place for their employees or their co-workers, however you want to call it. Also, that is going to change probably how they want them to flourish and to grow in their business. So you have a team of 3 or 4 people. You want a project that needs to be created. And then you can decide. So I need someone who is, let's say, a free-spirited person. I need someone who is rather a protector of peace. I need someone who is a watcher rather than a maker. And I probably need somebody who is knowledgeable and is upgrading consciousness. This is a very energetic level we are talking about. And then you find out, where can I find an Orion Starseed that is upgrading the consciousness of the team? Where can I find someone who balances divine feminine and masculine energies? And I look for a Hydra Starseed, or I look for someone who is free-spirited, and I look for an Eridanus starseed, and so on. Imagine what is possible to create when we really step into that consciousness, into that knowing, and create teams that have a completely different approach to what we want to create. That is something that is so fascinating, I believe. Look at us. We have found each other, and look what we create.
Magic.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it doesn't just extend to the dynamic of the business and the team members and the vendors and the different positions within a business. I think it probably extends to who are your clients as well. So who can I serve the most? Is that right? Are there going to be kind of signs or telltale kind of signs as to who we're supposed to work with in terms of their starseed family? Like, how does that work?
Well, I'd like to go to the center of it all. What is the product you want to sell? So this is already something that you need to decide as a starseed. And from there on, you group everything around. It is a system, right? And if we approach that systemically, we can approach it galactically because our galaxy is a system. And if we look at the whole thing, we can look at the small thing as above, so below. It is an alchemistic process in a way. So if I have the right product, if I infuse the product with the right intention, with the energy I hold as a starseed, I think then everything unfolds organically. You can very precisely put the team together. You can very precisely put the whole chain of, I don't know how you say it, the chain of manufacturing and producing and PR and whatever is involved. And then you will find the perfect client. It is inevitable.
Of course. I love that. And I think that, like, I had a question around how can infusing, so first of all, the term galactic business architect was coming through.
Oh, dear.
And the second thing was, the question I was going to ask is, what can we learn about our relationship to money through galactic astrology? And how could this potentially improve or increase like profit margins, like the circulation of money coming through the business? So 2 questions, really.
Yes. Our approach towards money from a galactic perspective makes no sense at all, because there is more, and as I said, an energy of exchange, of bartering around in the galaxy more than money. Money is more connected to the old paradigm. It is not so much light infused. I think the exchange idea is more of light, I believe.
But with the reality that we're living in right now, I was curious to learn, because money exists, obviously, how might implementing or infusing or using like galactic astrology in a business help to, I think you've already answered the question. It's the energetics of the people that actually like circulate the money. That's what's going to change things and create more wealth for everybody, really.
Yes. Well, in galactic astrology, I also look into the classical astrology, and there you can find clues. Third house, second house, eighth house, and so on.
Yeah.
You can look at the planets' alignments. You can look at how your astro chart is combined, and there you can find many clues about how money can flow to you easily or more easily, and how you can economically work with it. That is not the question. The question is, where do we want to go with it, and what do we want to create with it? Do we want to earn money for our own pleasure, and or do we want to earn money for the greater good of all? And that includes our own pleasure, by the way.
Of course it does. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, thank you for answering those questions. I'm curious to learn what you would say is the reason that having someone like you in a soul-led business leader, light leader's back pocket, that it's literally a non-negotiable to have someone like you in their back pocket. What's the reason?
Well, what would you say after we have met? So what has changed for you?
That's a good question. I'm asking the questions. Deflecting. I think it's bringing more of my gifts into my business to be able to help people and be of service from a higher perspective, to understand from a different level of awareness. I think more than anything as well, it's when we start businesses, so often we feel like we're doing everything on our own and that it's lonely and that we don't necessarily have the support around us. But finding out that you have this galactic team that is always there, and knowing how to communicate with them, how to identify them, how to just the richness and of knowing that you have that level of support always around you, that's just priceless. That's invaluable. And I think that the only way that you're ever going to, it's not the only way, that's nonsense, but one of the ways that you are able to really connect and feel that level of support is by working with you, and also understanding the different transits and shifts that are actually happening at the time, and who's going to be the more dominant presence of, like, dominant presence at that time, understanding why you might be experiencing something that you're experiencing on an emotional, mental, physical, spiritual level for you and your clients. And also that relationship with money and why you might be struggling with creating more money or allowing more money in, or, on a real 3D level, because let's face it, everybody wants more money. And of course, we're here for a higher purpose and we want to give back, and we've got a whole legacy to create. But more than anything, I feel like we have to serve ourselves first. And so that to be able to serve ourselves first, we have to repair our relationship with our origin. We have to understand where we came from to understand our relationship with money. And so having someone like you in my back pocket is a non-negotiable. So I answered my own question.
Thank you, Sinead.
You're welcome.
I would like to add something.
Please do.
Yes, I agree. It is something that, well, I think that every business owner should have a coach or an advisor or a counselor. And if it is about, if you are drawn to the stars, then an astrologer is a good idea. And I know for a fact that many potent and thriving business owners, but also politicians and you name it, have astrologers. And that's what makes them so successful, because they know about the time qualities ahead. They know exactly when to launch a new product. They know exactly when to retire and refuel. They know exactly when to hire people. They know exactly that during the upcoming solar eclipse portal, they shouldn't sign any contracts. They shouldn't start a new business. And that is something that I would like to advise everybody who is listening. Take this time to go inward. Take this portal time where the connection to the other realms is so more fluid, to strengthen your intuition and to hone your telepathic abilities rather than start anything new. So this is really important to know, and why not make use of it?
If you've got access to it, then it's definitely something that you should take. Like, why wouldn't you? That level of information is invaluable. To know what's coming, to know what's happening in the here and now, to be able to plan and strategize, I think it's really important. But I also, for me personally, I find that even when I don't plan or strategize according to the stars, it's very in alignment with the as above, so below. And it's not ever something that I'm going to consciously do this on this date because this is happening at, 0 degrees in this transit, that kind of thing. It's just like, oh, that's it's just happening. But not to take away of the potency of your work and why it's very, very important to have someone like you working alongside. It's co-creation, working alongside and co-creating with those who wish to create change. Paradigm shifters, change makers, thought leaders, light bearers, light leaders, all of the people that are here to lead us into this new way.
The creatrixes.
Creatrixes.
Of the galaxy.
Mm.
We can also learn a lot about the support of our star families through galactic astrology and what they have in store, what they can provide during certain time qualities when there are alignments with certain fixed stars in your galactic astro chart. So you can use that energy, you can call that in, and it will support you with more ease and grace and flow, for sure.
It's so exciting and so interesting. And I love that we have met and we have connected, and that I have you as a friend and as a sister. And thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom with me and with my listeners and community. And I'm just allowing myself to absorb all of the things. This conversation has been so beautiful. Thank you so much. I am wondering if there might be something that you would like to, any parting words, parting gifts that you wish to share.
It is of utmost importance for all of us to align our thoughts, our emotions, and our bodies towards peace and unity and love. And that's all.
Thank you, Myriam.
Thank you, Sinead, my beautiful star sister.
So I'm going to, all of Myriam's information you can find in the show notes below. But Myriam, is there anything that you would like to share? Anything that you have coming soon? I'm not sure when I'm going to air this episode, but I'm sure that, just give us all of the things, and I can 100%, 1000% vouch that everything that you sign up to work to do with Myriam is going to blow your mind, and you're going to keep going back for more. So just so you know, prepare for liftoff. But Myriam, what's coming up?
Yes, that's my claim. Let's go galactic.
Yes.
So I offer one-to-one sessions where we dive into your galactic chart, and we find out what kind of starseed you are. And I offer in a shamanic tradition, let's say, I offer ceremonies for the main sun and moon festivities. There is one coming up this Saturday for spring equinox, and then I'll do a special celebration for the eclipses, because eclipses are so important for all of us. It's not just a celestial phenomenon, it is a huge portal. And there are some portal dates around the year. I do the 12 nights of wonder between Christmas and New Year's, and then for winter solstice and then for summer solstice as well. And I do a year program where we unlock your galactic gifts in a more expanded way than we all probably can imagine. There is something grander happening than all of us together.
I can concur with that. And excuse me, what's coming through to ask, before I ask this, I will be sharing, as I said, everything, all your links and everything are in the show notes so people can go in and book readings and join us inside this amazing year-long journey. But what's coming through to ask is, when are you going to be engaging with your next speaking event, summit?
It's interesting that you asked that question, because there is something that I am preparing. I think I'm going to prepare a summit, a Galactic Starseed summit, let's say.
Mm-hmm. So for everyone that's listening, watch this space. Literally.
Oh, love
Thank
that.
you, Myriam.
Thank you, Sinead.